Hello, I'm Red Barnes, your missions mobilizer for 1040 Visions and your Africa delegate on Southside Baptist Mission Committee. I've recently come back from West Africa on a trip with Jeremy Effler to Burkina Faso and back to Senegal to visit with the rest of the Effler family. I'd love to tell you about it, so let's get started. After arriving at the airport with Kader and Jeremy picking us up, the very next morning we got up early and headed out to a pastors conference that Kader had put together. There were over 60 pastors there and we had a wonderful time of fellowship. Jeremy preached, we talked about the school scholarship program, and ate like kings. The very next day we started a 2-day trip of visiting over 8 churches. Each of the churches was a wonderful experience. They fed us each time we went. Jeremy preached, I spoke of the student scholarship programs, and we got to meet tons of kids and families that were impacted by our student scholarship program. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see us over at Zongo on Sunday. Jeremy preached there, and we were all just hanging out, having a wonderful meal before we all got on the road. Sitting right next to me is Pastor Gregoire. He probably traveled the furthest away for the conference. We are real excited about our student scholarship program in Burkina Faso. Attached are some pictures of each of the churches that we stopped by, visited with, met each of the students, shook hands with parents, and really got a chance to feel how important it is. In the top right corner is Pastor Emile and Pastor Marcel from Leba, who many of us who have traveled to Burkina Faso know really well. They're part of the school there, and we are helping them come up with a program to keep the school open. We're excited to see what God's going to do there this year. Boy, I can't speak highly enough of Kader. He really orchestrated this conference as well as all these stops, and is a leader in most of these churches, is involved with them every week. Here he is explaining about the student scholarship program, the profiles for the kids, why they're important, why we need them, the fact that families here in America are praying for their kids and praying for their families. And in each file there's 2 receipts, one that he received from the pastor and one they received from the school, and everybody's receipts matched. An amazing job. On the right side here is Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie is one of the highlights of the entire trip to Burkina Faso. Sometimes when you sit back home and you're just looking at spreadsheets and looking at numbers, you fail to remember the humanness about what we do. And Anne-Marie shared hers with us. She's a single mother. Her husband left him. She has 3 children. She was going through beautician school at the time, not sure how she was going to feed her kids or send them to school. A friend of hers told her about the church. She brought her kids to the church, and they joined the kids club that goes on twice a week. They got fed twice a week there at the kids club, and then she was told about the student scholarship program. And her kids were accepted, and they went to school last year, when weeks before she wasn't sure how they were even going to survive. God is so good, y'all. To close out our trip to Burkina Faso, we went and hung out with Kader's family. As you can see his smiling face, we're excited to be hanging out with him. He's a great guy, does some wonderful work for the Lord, and Sarah is a perfect wife for him. She is amazing. She housed many of the pastors there in their home. She fed them all while they were there for the pastors' conference. She came up and was at the pastors' conference and helped feed us all. She's amazing. And then down at the bottom is young Red Jeremy, and he's playing with some trucks at Darling Bottom, and then we brought with us to Burkina Faso. It was a great time hanging out with them, and I really look forward to seeing them again soon. All right, we're off to Senegal. On the left there, Jeremy has finally got a chance to relax for a little bit there. He's got the dogs all hanging out, got his shorts on, his flip-flops on, and I'm in there hanging out with all the food, if you can imagine such a thing. Jesse provided a great feast for us the first night we were there, and it was fun just to hang out. On the right side, obviously, are the kids. They're eating some betta honeys that we brought with them. They'd never had them before, but they loved them. And every time you turn around, they were eating some, especially Kaya. The next morning, we got up and went to Beersheba, which many of you know is a place where Friends in Action sent the equipment from Burkina Faso, and Beersheba helped them and let them store the equipment there. Smitty and a group went there earlier this year to build a hangar. And here are just some pictures of Beersheba. It's really important for you to know that their impact in the kingdom and the community is second to none. I witnessed it time and time again. On the left-hand side here is a picture of God's farming. They do a great teaching school for farming and for spiritual things, and they had just finished up having a big group of folks from the Mercy ships there who are now going to be deployed to countries that have food problems. The middle picture there is a group of bricks made by the brick maker that 1040 Visions and Friends in Action and Beersheba combined up to make. And these bricks here are going to be used to build onto the clinic that services the community and will be a maternity ward when completed. How exciting is that? And to the far right is a little preschool area that folks who are working at Beersheba get a chance to send their kids to preschool while they're working during the day. The next day we were all around. Jeremy is here looking at the well on the property where his mission house will be, that they will start building with the brick maker in the middle in January, and he returns. And to the far right is John and Brittany, and they are amazing folks. They live at Beersheba. They live in a modified container. It is a really cool place. She can cook like nobody's business, and they were great hosts to us. And John is a legend in these parts because he built a well drilling rig completely from parts that he got from parts places and junkyards. And they are partnering up with Jeremy and Friends in Action and be part of the team there as well. The next morning, man, this was my day. I got a chance to meet Ernest, who's the far left picture. He has got a preschool, a church with a bunch of young folks, and he does a lot of stuff in the community. And I was so excited after I got a chance to meet him that I just clearly had a vision for what was going on there in Senegal and what was going to be happening in the future. Next is Mansour, and I hit it off with little Sophie, and it was great fun hanging out with her. Mansour has a well drilled by Friends in Action recently. He has a piece of land that's been fenced off and is already growing some stuff. But the big deal is he got this well in and immediately ran a pipe all the way to the front of the property so that people who were traveling by could get fresh, clean water. He is a pastor in a town near Jeremy, and he's also the nurse practitioner at Beersheba's clinic. So he's a busy guy. On the far right is Benoit and his wife. And Benoit is a rough dude. He is a farmer, he is a hunter, and he's doing this all without a well. He's dug himself some hand wells, but he is the first guy on the list to get a well come January. He also is from Beersheba and teaches Bible training to many out in the village around him. I'm excited to be working with Benoit in the future. On my last day there in Senegal, we got a chance to do some sightseeing and just hang out. We went down to the fish market where it was the craziest thing I ever seen, but there were literally boats coming off the water, taking their fish directly to semi trucks. And then whatever was left, there were hundreds, maybe thousands of these little vendors all over the beach selling fish. And as we walked down into the fish market, because you couldn't drive, the traffic was freaking backed up for days. I took this picture because it was full of tomatoes and peppers and just really colorful produce. I really enjoyed that time, and we got a chance to have some lunch and eat some ice cream and before they took me to the airport later that night. So that pretty much wraps up the trip. I'm really excited about what God's doing there in Burkina Faso and what God's going to allow us to be part of in Senegal. So I ask that you pray for the folks in Burkina. I ask that you give some vision to Jeremy and the team there that is being put together for Friends in Action in Senegal, and that we hear clearly what the Lord is speaking to us about how we should be involved. So God bless you, and thank you for listening.